Now we were also talking about the shape of the leaf. So what do you notice about the shape of this leaf? And you can take it apart too. Like if you want to take it off and like examine it.
So, it's toothed.
Oh yeah, it's got teeth. So it's not an entire margin, right? Mm-hmm. It's got chunks taken out of it.
It's more blade-like than, for example, having sub-leaves.
So like, there's a difference between these two, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys see that? This is what we call an entire leaf, and it's like oblong or linear even. And this one is kind of like that classic leaf shape, right? It's kind of elliptical, oval shaped. One good thing that you can tell about elms is that they have got an unequal base or oblique base. You can tell. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cordate shaped, which means heart. It's not super apparent on this one, but the way you can tell, and we'll see some American elms over here too. Mm-hmm. Those are cottonwoods. I thought maybe that was one. Mm-hmm. But you can also tell that there are some glands here too. That's another way that you can tell that it's an elm as well. It's like something with Siberian elms especially. It's got these like big like glands. They really... yeah, so this is a leaf scar right here. Or like a leaf... It's just like what covers the leaf before it comes out. Mm-hmm. But also there's like glands there too. Okay. Sometimes you need a loop to see them. Mm-hmm. But another thing we can notice is, if there's like a big midrib. Mm-hmm. Another thing we can notice is how it's arranged on the stem as well. So when we see it, if we hold it flat, like we did, you can see this is what we call flattened and strongly two-ranked. So it means that it's got this like very clear branching pattern when you're holding it flat, and it's almost like it's been pressed in a book. It's just flat, it's got very clear like where the branches are. Sometimes it can be hard to tell where the branching is. So like if you look at that, these plants over here, it's kind of hard to tell, right? Are they opposite, alternate, whorled? From this distance it's not easy to see, but from over here, you can definitely tell what that is, right? You're like, wow, that's, what kind of branching is that?
Alternate. Exactly.
So it's alternate. So that's something we can look at. And then the final thing I always like to say is, feel with your fingers. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Are there hairs? What does it feel like on the back of your hand? And if you do have allergies, so like I'm very allergic to like all plants, but I love it. I take a lot of allergy pills and stuff so it doesn't like give me rashes. So just be aware. But this is one that is safe. It's just got some hairs on it on the back. And it's also kind of got this rough texture. Some of these, it's like rough on top, but then it's kind of, or smooth on top, which is what we call glabrous. And then rough on the back, which we can call like scabrous, or like, there's a lot of different words. That plant terminology book I showed you before we started is a really great resource to learn kind of all these like technical terms. The biggest thing is botanists love hair. Like, they will classify plants by species based off of what kind of hairs they have that you can see under a microscope. So that's something we can think about. So I would just like hold on to like an example of this, or you don't have to. But there's a lot of things to explore.
Yeah. I'll take one of these.
He's having a good time.
Yeah.
You're getting absolutely filthy. You're getting
Find a cool spot.
It's toasty. So we've got another, see now you can see down in here. So one of the things we're trying to do with this project is to make sure that we are reducing the amount of invasive species load that there is. You can see on the other side of the river, there's some native plants. There's some ashes, like native ashes that just sprung up. There's also some cottonwoods. There's a lot of different, you've got your chamisa or your rabbit brush. There's a lot of native plants here, and because the way that invasive species work, they outcompete and they shade out other plants. So oh my God, there's so many ants.
There's a lot of ants. Thank you.
We've get like a really good view of this from over here on the bridge.
Oh yeah, on the bridge.
You can really see the difference. There's also some bird boxes over there too that we built.
Nice.
Man, the ants are really bad today.
Yeah. It's impressive.
Look at how much, if you look at the base of all the trees, look at how shady it is. Like, what are you noticing? Which side has more shrubs?
Let's say that side.
I'd agree. I would say that side has more shrubs. Which side has more grasses?
This side.
It's kind of like hard, yeah. So I would probably say this side has more grasses, just visually from what we can see. One of the great things about grasses, they've got even deeper roots than trees. So I'm sure we all know that tree roots are only like the first 18 inches of soil for the vast majority of them. Grass, especially bunch grasses like we've got over here, they can go like, I've seen some upwards of like 6 to 8 feet, and they percolate all of that down in the soil. So it's actually, sometimes it's actually better for more grasses to be there. They're also host plants for native pollinators, provide protein, all of this cool stuff, right?
So are you thinning so that that understory is, there's more light available for it?
Exactly. So we went through and like cut down a lot of baby Siberian elms, removing them from the root, a lot of tree of heaven. As we get over to the other end of the park, you'll start seeing that there's a lot of tree of heaven. And one of the things about tree of heaven is that it's allelopathic, which means that it sends out these chemicals that kill off other plants to reduce competition. Creosote does the same thing. So, and that's a native plant, creosote, but it's an adaptation, so we don't have to share resources. But one thing I do like seeing over here is we do have like a lot of native species, but there's also a lot of deadwood over here too, which isn't necessarily bad, but we've got to pick and choose about how we want to manage that, because with deadwood comes risk. So you want to kind of like decide, okay, do we want this to be a snag? Do we want this to be, community wood? That's another project we're doing with this.
Nice.
Is spreading the opportunity for people to come collect urban wood to do that full circle management, because it makes no sense for trees to be cut down but then that wood doesn't get used. So that's something that like a lot of folks are trying to do now. We have a lot of artists in Santa Fe, so people use it, and we have a lot of wood burning stoves too.
There's a big monarch.
Swallowtail?
Swallowtail?
Yeah. Oh, and then down here we've also got coyote willow, Salix exigua.
Oh,
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And when we go down there, we can take a look at the leaves because they're pretty cool as well. They've got these like really cool glandular tipped edges, margins. But we'll see some as we go further down.
Nice.
There's a good spot where we can enter. Not down here. It's kind of back where we were. The parking lot, but I wanted you all to kind of see like what eventually it's going to look like. We can also talk about the bridge heading off that, but there's like a lot. There's a lot happening. So why would it matter that we identify plants in the context of management?
Because there's different plants providing different ecosystem services. There are some invasives, others that are native, that are more adapted perhaps to the ecosystem here. So there's some preservation also in consideration to knowing what's invasive and what's native.
Yeah. That's pretty spot on. So what is maybe a reason why we would keep these larger Siberian elms even though they're not native?
I'd say they're providing some shade. They're also stabilizing the bank. And they're the dominant species, and if you were to take them out, it would look barren here.
Yeah, it'd also be a huge erosional issue. Like what you were saying, it's stabilizing the stream banks. Although we do have a lot of plants here. So just in the little walk I've seen here, I've seen blue grama, I've seen some native spurge, I've seen, so like here's some blue grama right here. Mm-hmm. Really great native plant, also bunch grass. Yeah, they're very cute, aren't they?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's for me. I've also seen some globe mallow. So that right here, that's globe mallow, the orange flowers. We've also got some sticky cup gumweed. That is a huge favorite of mine. A lot of people think it's an invasive plant, but in reality, it's actually native and super medicinal. You can make some nice things out of it. You can actually also use Siberian elm like slippery elm too. That's something you can use it for. You do want to be careful with like. Oh, here's a cool one with that. So this isn't on that plant. So I don't know if you got the email last night, but I created like a plant key based off of tree plotter data, life to tree plotter data. This is not on here, but how does this plant differ from the Siberian elm? What are the things you're noticing?
It's alternate. Maybe it's.
It is alternate.
Okay.
Is it simple or a compound leaf?
Compound leaf.
Mm-hmm. How do you know it's a compound leaf?
There's like other leaflets that are part of the larger leaf.
Exactly. Oh, sorry. So when I lay this flat, you can tell, like if you fuse all these together with one plant. So that's why we call these like leaflets. So it's a compound leaf.
May I take a
Of course. Yeah, let me like lay this flat again. It's always like. So it's a compound leaf. And this is, what about the seed pods? I'm sure you've seen lots of seed pods on Siberian elm. How do these look?
These are more lantern-like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or sculptural almost, I'd say.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of tomatillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a ground cherry.
It's almost made up of kind of a specialized leaf.
Yeah. That's an adaptation.
And then the seeds are inside.
Mm-hmm. And they're not quite ripe yet.
It looks almost like a pea pod.
Yeah, it does. So this is, I'll tell you what it is. So it's a golden rain tree. Mm-hmm. This is another really common plant, or another like common tree that we do see around here as a street tree. I saw them more when I was in Utah. I'm not really sure why. I don't see them as much here. That just might not be as well adapted. It's a little bit cooler and get a little bit more rain up in Utah.
They're very popular with landscapers here
now. Yes, very
much. And in Albuquerque.
That's good to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we kind of, Santa Fe has like a couple ordinances to only focus on native plants. Oh. They've got like a replacement plant ordinance, I believe, in a lot of the city parks and on city property. So that might be why we're not seeing as many of these. But yeah, so what are the margins of the leaf? Do you notice something interesting about them compared to the margins on here? So like the edge, that blade, edge of the blade of the leaf?
Yeah, they're more lobed than
lobed.
Or rounded rather than toothed or sharp.
Exactly. So yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting how they kind of start off as like several like little ones closer to the stem, and then they're almost fused together into the to the end one.
So we could almost even say this might even be bipinnately compound, which means that it's doubly compound. Yeah. I do believe that's one of the characteristics that it can be. You get some of these larger leaves down here. We do have some dieback too. But in the context of this, seems pretty interesting. Like, I think this is the only one I've seen along the trail that's this specific species. Let's go over to that tree over there.
Okay.
So they don't do as well in the cold?
I don't think it's necessarily the cold. I think it's just like a little bit too dry. And I don't know when these were planted. Because that one's probably on private property, not on city property necessarily. Because I think that's a lot familiar right here. So watch out for ants. actually, do you guys see these mushrooms down here?
Yeah.
That's not really a good sign for this tree.
Oh, really?
But no, because it's already not doing so well. If you look at the
Yeah,
top, there's a lot of dieback.
Yeah.
So we've kind of got two big classifications when we're trying to determine what a tree is, like its identity, in the way that we do it in this context. So there's a lot of different ways to like identify trees. Sometimes it's scientifically, sometimes it's through like a relationship to a tree. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. This is just one way that we're going through it, in a systemic way that I was taught. Doesn't mean it's the only way. So, so the biggest classification, what would you say this is compared to this? Like biggest, like what's the biggest difference?
These are needles compared to a flat leaf.
Exactly. So what do we call a tree with needles? Like in general, like very big, broad. Deciduous versus...
Coniferous?
Yeah, coniferous, exactly, or
Coniferous,
evergreen.
yeah, evergreen.
Exactly. So those are kind of the big ones we look at. So would this be coniferous or would this be deciduous?
Yes, coniferous.
Coniferous, yeah, exactly. So something we can do too is take one of these needles and roll it between our fingers. Yeah, you can just pop one off. It's not going to hurt the tree. The tree's already going through it. One needle's not going to cut it. So if you roll through it, is it round? Is it flat? Is
More
it square?
Flat.
So what does that tell you, potentially, if it's flat?
That it's a fir.
Correct. So if it's a fir, it's flat. If it's a spruce, it's square. And then if it's a pine, it's round. Between your fingers.
Spruce is square. Okay.
Yeah, spruce is square. So this is some kind of fir. I'm guessing it's a white fir of some kind. That's my best guess without like more cone information.
I've been told that white firs don't do so well.
No.
Here.
And we're also at too low of an elevation for them to be superbly happy. But yeah, I would probably say this is a white fir if I had put money on it.
Yeah.
Aby's collar?
That's the scientific name.
Yes. That's something I guess also we could talk about too is scientific names versus common names or common vernacular.
Yeah, that'd be good to cover.
Yeah, so I like to say that plants have two different names. They've got their government name, they've got their nickname. Nicknames vary across time and space. Cultures, people. Like, I've got a family nickname just for my family. Like, my husband's got a nickname for me just for him. We've got all of that for our different trees. Usually when you guys were growing up, you had a name for the tree. Even if it was, like, descriptive of the tree. Like, oh, it's a round leaf tree. It's a heart leaf tree.
A climbing tree.
The climbing tree. Or it's like, that's Rick, my friend, the tree. You know? We've got a lot of different ways to describe trees as children. But then the way that we categorize them is kind of like artificial classification, natural classification, and phylogenetic classification. The way we do that throughout time and space in a scientific realm is through scientific names, which is kind of their government name. And that's based off of, like, that's a whole semester class on, like, taxonomy, plant taxonomy. But to suffice it to say, the government names change too, depending on, like, these relationships, these genetic relationships we're starting to learn about, and mapping out the tree of life. So there's this really cool organization that is mapping all of the data in the whole world. Well, there's a few of them. The first one I like to let people know about is iNaturalist, because they use that data, and there's scientists that contribute it, there's lay people that contributed it. It doesn't use AI, and you'll probably, like, you're more likely to get a really good ID on a plant, with good photos, with good video, all of that. And it's also just not plants, it's like all living biota. And then, so there's
iNaturalist.
that. iNaturalist. It's just like an app. I think they've got the Seek app too, and that kind of works more like, I think it's like kind of AI image driven, like an LLM. But I don't like using that because my job is to ID plants, and like I'd prefer it if people didn't use that. It's also not very accurate. Like, it's more accurate than other ones because it takes data from around where you're at and gives you the most likely answer. But I wouldn't like trust it to eat anything from it or like let your kids touch it, anything like that. It's kind of just like a interesting thing. What else? Let me think. And then the other one is World Flora Online. So the data that iNaturalist gives gets summarized and sent to World Flora Online, where they are building a map. Or not even a map, but just like getting all of the data about all the living things around the world, so we have more resources to figure out those relationships, especially as more and more plants and living beings are going extinct due through climate change and encroachment on natural spaces, things like that. So
I think I use PlantNet.
Yeah.
And then they backsource to World Flora.
Yep. Yeah, everything's just kind of feeding back into that.
Okay.
That's kind of like the big international database. I do believe they're one of, I think it's like kind of like the UN of plants. They have representatives from all over the world specializing in different plant families. And they also, agree on what characteristics do and don't work for, that whatever classifications they're using or like treatments they're using to define what a species is, which is like super controversial in itself. So if you're in that taxonomy world, so like I'm a lumper and not a splitter. For me, most of the time it's enough to get to like genus for most applications of things, unless I'm doing like scientific work. But in general, even if you're just doing let's say you're just doing a tree inventory for tree plotter, getting down to genus is still like a really good spot to stop at.
Yeah.
It's still specific enough where you can use ecosystem data to calculate like ecosystem services down to genus. Obviously species is great, and even cultivar is really good, but that's not always possible with the information we have in the field. So this is something to keep in mind.
So that first scientific name, the one that's capitalized, that is the
genus. Yeah, genus. And then the second one is called the
Boom.
specific epithet. For species.
The second one is the
Specific epithet?
specific epithet. For species.
Yeah, or species.
Genus, species, and then you see parentheses around
Yeah, like quotations.
cultivars or
Yeah, cultivars, varieties.
varieties.
It's kind of like the patented name typically. If you see them in like quotations.
Okay.
Or this is another good one we can take a look at. So y'all might already know this one. Do you have an idea? Yes, exactly. Take a look at it. I'll grab some
You don't want to sit there, Boone.
and then we'll go move into like the shade.
Cool.
Oh, okay, so we've got our Russian olive and we've got our Siberian elm. What are the similarities that you see? And feel free to like take them apart, look at them.
They're lance-like leaves.
Yeah, they're more lance-like, that's true. Lance-like, oblong. Are the margins entire? Or are they like lobed, scalloped?
It's, I'd say, entire.
Yeah.
It's a smoother line all the way up through the edge of the leaf. It's also alternating leaves on the branch. That includes olives, the fruit.
Yep. Sometimes they have thorns too. This one didn't have thorns, but we do see thorns on them and they hurt really bad.
Oh wow.
Sometimes we've got chemicals on the end of them that like make you get inflamed. Not unlike There's a lot of plants that do that, but that can happen with Russian olive. But what about the texture too? So compare the leaf texture of Russian olive to like the leaf texture of.
Yeah, this feels like slipperier or waxier, whereas the Russian olive feels maybe matte or sandier.
So interestingly, I forgot my loops this time. Otherwise, I would have shown them to y'all. But when you take a look, excuse me. Sorry. When you take a look at this underneath a microscope or like a loop, you're gonna notice that there's also like a couple different structures on this. So like you can kind of, if you look in the light and then just kind of like bend the leaf, especially on the top, you can see these little hairs. And then on the back, you can also see these like little hairs. And what I was saying about botanists really caring about hairs is like so accurate. If I remember correctly, now don't quote me on this because I need my key, but I do believe Elaeagnacea, which is what this family is, the olive family, I believe. Elaeagnacea. No, that would be LAC. I think it's a tribe within. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately. But within this family, and especially within this genus, what you can notice is that they have star-shaped hairs on them. They're like really hairy. It's hard to see here without like something closer up. Sometimes it can be like a little plate light. Sometimes what we like to call it is scurfy.
Scurfy. That's a name.
Yeah. That's another way we like to describe plants, is like by their hairs. If it's kind of like thick and downy like this, and it's also kind of rough at the same time, it could be described as scurfy. Sometimes it also, there's specific applications of that word too, like if it's got like plate-like scale or plate-like hairs. So it's like a little hair, and then like the top of it is like a little plate sitting on top, or like a shield.
Oh, interesting.
But I believe these are star-shaped ones. So off the top of my head. And then there's also sometimes at the base there's like a gland too, like the hair, like even how the hair can have like a little like bump, and then the hair comes out of the middle relative to the rest of the leaf. So you can kind of see that like raised bump at the hair. It can be kind of hard to see, but if you catch the right light, and you see like you see these like really small bumps at the bottom that aren't necessarily just hairs, it's like the texture of the leaf. So I have a question for you guys. What we're noticing on these plants is that a lot of these plants that do look really well, that are invasive, tend to be pretty hairy. Why do you think that is?
They're living through many different ecosystems, and the hairs kind of keep more herbivores from eating on them.
Yeah, reduce predation. Yeah, exactly. That's another one. Not losing water. It can also help with dispersal too, so especially on seeds. So if you think of like a cockleburr or something, it'll catch on like your clothes, or even like Pitarisia, or any other bush that has really hairy seeds, it'll help. So I mean, you can go on and on about that, but that's also what helps make them so adaptable to our desert environment, because they can really just withstand the stressors of how difficult it is, and why we see them in urban environments too. The urban environment is not so different from the desert, especially when you've got like, we've even got this geologic structure called desert pavement, right? Where it's just like the sandstone eventually compresses so much that it basically is like walking on pavement. So water just runs off of it. So when you start looking, when you're out in like the middle of nowhere in the boonies, and you're seeing a lot of structures and a lot of the same plants that you might see in an urban environment, it'll get your gears going and thinking, okay, so like there's a lot of native plants here. What can I do? What characteristics about these plants in this natural space, away from all of these external factors, why there's so few invasive species, what are the characteristics that match the urban environment I'd like to put it into? Does that make sense? So like, let's say you've got like a gully or something right next to like a tree, right? What is happening? You've got like a lot of water rushing by, so you need a lot of like runoff. You've also got to accommodate for the size of the tree. Like, what do you know? Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
And that also helps us get ideas of like how can we use tree characteristics to make proper planting decisions in urban environments. So that's what I like to do when I go hiking. Is like, oh, this is an interesting tree. Would it do well here? So like one tree that I'm really trying to advocate for in our urban spaces is Western hop tree, Talia trifoliata. It's in the citrus family, which is interesting. Have you ever heard of the 10-20-30 rule in urban forestry?
10, 20, 30.
So no more than 10% of the canopy should be a single species. No more than 20% should be a single genus. No more than 30% should be in the same family.
Oh.
So the largest family the largest plant family in the world is Rosaceae, but it's actually one of the smaller like tree families we get. So looking for plants that fall into some of these more unusual categories. So like Rosaceae, which is where hop tree is, it's also a host plant for a lot of native butterflies and like moths and stuff. Is a really good opportunity to say, okay, we've got an unusual species here, where can we plug this in? Where does its size fit in? Where can I source seed? Where, like, if I was looking for a tree to plant from the wild to here, where would I source that seed? What characteristics would we be looking for? We'd probably be wanting to look for a tree that has, it looks beautiful during drought. There's not a lot of other vegetation around it to show that it can, like, kind of survive on its own. We've got this bad habit in urban forestry and, like, street plantings where, like, we don't have any understory or midstory species. And as you can see, plants do better in company. I like to think of plants as hypersocial beings too, and that's not always like. So when you get kind of this intermix between like, hard science and then actually the application of that science, right? I like to say urban forestry is, a live application in ethnobotany. It's not separated. Like anytime you work with plants, you're working with people.
Yeah.
Like
ethnobotany, hence the ethno.
Exactly.
It's people choosing plants to live among or live with for their medicinal or agricultural properties, etc.
Yeah. And it's mostly applied to like indigenous practices, like recording them, but I like to think of it as more expansive than that because everybody's got relationships to plants. I do think we should, be taking wisdom from people who have been here much longer than many. Like I'm from a settler community, like all over the West. But I think it's also important to hear and communicate with everybody in the community. It's part of the reason I like Santa Fe so much and like New Mexico is that it's just kind of this interaction of multiple cultures and like respect between multiple cultures and finding harmony. I've not really seen that in a lot of other places I've lived, and it's refreshing. I really enjoy that about living here. And there's also this like the importance of art in community too, and conveying why it's important to have art in community spaces. And I think that translates really well into developing like tree plantings and choosing species and developing like a third space in community. The parks here are really well used, and I think part of the reason they do that, like why they're so well used, is because there's a vibe that we cultivate in our communities and like the trees that we have. I think that's why people are so upset about zozobra, because if you remove a tree, you're kind of affecting, this probably isn't like the most like accurate word to use, but kind of like the feng shui of a place. You're like, okay, like something's missing here. There was a living thing here and now it's gone. How do you deal with like the loss of a plant? How do you deal with like the loss to the community? So there's all these questions we ask when we're developing urban forest, and that's just like a small portion of how we do the planning. I think these are the questions we should be asking. And part of that goes into like the plant ID. So like not everybody categorizes plants like this. Lots of people categorize plants in different ways. It's not always going to be about like the textures of things or like the patterns that we see. Sometimes it's going to be like landscape patterns that we see. Sometimes it's going to be how people use it for medicine. What patterns do they see that would make a plant have good medicine? Different things like that. So keeping an open mind on how people accept and classify plants in their own way, I think is pretty important too. There's like, don't, my recommendation is never to be myopic about it. You just want to have an open mind and an open heart to however people connect to plants, because that's what we're working with. So I don't like to be prescriptive.
Great observations.
Yeah.
Because that opens you up to other people's knowledge categories or the way that they group plants. And it may not be according to like a scientific explanation, meaning individual characteristics, but perhaps it's how certain plants are used in dyes.
Yeah. It could also be like the personal relationship. I don't know how it feels for you guys, but like when I'm hiking and I'm in a pinyon juniper forest, or a PJ complex is what the professionals like to call it, but we're hanging out with, PJ, and then you go into a little canyon and you see cottonwood. Like, what does that feel like to you?
Maybe there's another source of water in this canyon that's allowing those cottonwoods to live there, where it's predominantly juniper and pinyon.
So we can like take some scientific educational, hypotheses about what could be going on, right? But then we also walk into a place and there's like a big shift in the plant community, cultivating that awareness of this is different. Why is it different? Why do I feel differently in this way? How do deciduous trees feel different from evergreen trees? How does, I don't know, we've got this kind of, something I like to, one of my professors brought up, the same one who did like the 50-mile-an-hour botany. She mentioned that as a botanist, you have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of, things to hold. And I think if you work with plants at all, people will just start telling you things and want to have a relationship with you when you have a relationship with the plants. And that's an important role, especially as we're moving into a world where people just see green. They don't see the individual. They don't know the names of trees around them. And this may not be entirely true in like New Mexico, where there's still a very large agricultural community, especially within cities. Like y'all still have a lot of like community orchards, which is unusual. Like I grew up with community orchards too in Utah, but that's changing now, at least where I'm from. But when you're going into a place and you're specifically looking for a plant, and you're like, man, I've got this like plant in my brain. I'm specifically looking for this plant for any number of reasons. You might be doing like a census on plants. You might be doing a survey. You might be harvesting it for some reason. But sometimes the plant won't show itself to you. And sometimes, the scientific explanation is how my professor explained it to me. The scientific explanation is that you've got this like type specimen in your head and exactly what it should look like, but the individual may vary from, your idealized version in your brain. The more esoteric conversation about that might be, what purposes are you using that plant for, especially if it's a rare plant? Sometimes the plant doesn't want to be found or recognized because maybe you don't have the right intentions. But it really depends on like what kind of crowd you're with when you're talking about these like conversations, and being respectful of like having those conversations, and not just like stumbling into it and saying, this is what I think. It's important to kind of be quiet sometimes when you're talking about plants and plant ID and how you might categorize a plant in a certain way.
Yeah, in anthropology we have the concept of ethnocentricity and trying to work counter to ethnocentric views, which close us off to kind of observing the world through other people's eyes. So I can see that happening in botany, possibly, in that you accumulate a lot of knowledge and then you apply that knowledge to the world, but that's just one perspective. And when there are many that you can learn from, and that informs your knowledge as well. So by thinking that you have the only perspective, you're missing out on possibly informing your own knowledge base
And building community.
and building community.
Yeah, I think that's where our communities are moving forward. It can be a difficult conversation. So, like, going back to the zozobra thing, what's happening locally, choosing what kind of plants that are going to be put back into Fort Marcy is going to be a monumental task. People are going to have a lot of opinions for various reasons. A lot of people want to plant certain trees for beautification. And a lot of native plants don't necessarily fit what people consider what I would probably classify as like the settler beauty standard for a landscape plant. But we have many native plants that are beautiful. But that's also why when we're IDing plants, why have people touch them and start building a relationship, even though plants are invasive. The plants that we're working with right now, which is why I'm like, I don't mind if we take plant parts off of them and tear them up and like look at them, because there's a lot of them. And you can still do it with like permission and respect and like as a learning opportunity. But it's also an opportunity to practice relationship with plants too. Like, how do you know something without knowing their name? How do you know somebody without knowing their name or knowing them intimately? Like, do you know the color of your friend's eyes? Do you know their color, like the shape of their hair? Do you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know who they are. It's like when you walk into a room with them, you don't even have to look for them. You just know they're there. That's kind of how I like to think about building relationships with plants and identifying them. Sometimes you can look at a plant community and say, somebody's missing. What plant here is missing? And that's an indicator for us to find out, well, how can we bring that plant back? And that's what we're doing with this river restoration project, right? What plants are we missing? How can we encourage these plants to come back?
Yeah. And maybe management, even though there might be these invasives in here, it's not about cutting them away completely because, they're providing some ecosystem services to the ecology and to people and animals. But you can never fully extirpate those species out of this canyon either.
No. It's something that's part of a management plan. So, like, I don't know if y'all have ever done, like, agriculture or worked in, like, a farm or anything, but if you have animals, you have to cull. That's just part of management, and it can be a very emotional, difficult process, and especially something like this where we're culling trees. Especially based on like what people might think is like arbitrary reasons. It's why it's so important to communicate, these management objectives and goals, and recognize when people are grieving. Because a lot of these people, they've lived in this community for a long time, and they've known these trees for a long time, even if they are invasive or if they have qualities that make them too competitive and are very delicate ecosystems. And you can still recognize them and be like, hey, I'm sorry you're going through that. What can we do to like make that a little bit better? And part of, providing urban wood is one of the ways we can have people have that kind of closure in the grief process too.
So interesting.
Well, let's like walk down a little bit more and see if we can find some more plants before we go. Because we still have 45 minutes.
Great.
I don't want to keep you guys all day because it's going to get hot. So, are you in Santa Fe or Albuquerque?
I'm in Edgewood.
Oh, Edgewood.
It's the East Mountains.
Okay, yeah, cool. I just moved here in like March, so I'm brand new to this area.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, I'm
Did you
east of Albuquerque.
okay, gotcha.
Did you take 14 to get here?
I'm still trying to figure out the
Or
best way to get to Santa Fe now. It's GPS took me down from Moriarty and that's through Stanley.
Okay.
I've gone up 14 before.
Okay.
I'm quite sure.
Grasses, etc. But then we were also getting this like huge pile of non-native species coming in, and there's mulch here,
Yeah.
and it's kind of informing what's happening in this canopy. But let's take a look at these trees right here. So I'm gonna get a couple of bundles. So this is what I call fascicles or bundles.
Okay.
So Are these round, flat?
These are definitely round compared to what I was feeling earlier.
Yes. And then how many needles are in each bundle? How many do you guys each count? 5, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep,
I count 5 as well.
5 bundles on this. What is it called?
It's some kind of pine.
Or what is the this bundle?
Oh, a
end?
fascicle?
The fascicle.
Yeah. And it's also got, typically they've got like a papery sheath on the end. I'm not sure exactly.
So it's a pine?
Yeah, it's a type of pine. I would probably say it's not ponderosa. Why would y'all say it's not ponderosa?
The bark is smooth.
The bark is smooth. It doesn't have
Smoother.
something else about the bark that you can tell with ponderosa. So it's kind of got this like reddish orange brown color, and it has a certain smell to it, right?
Like vanilla.
It smells like vanilla, exactly. I would probably say it's some kind of white pine, if I had to like have a guess. Kind of strobilus, maybe. I want to say it's something like that, because you can also look at the pine cones up there. They've kind of got that like curved kind of thing. That's what it is. They're kind of struggling right here.
Yeah.
But that's typically a big way we tell what kind of pine it is based off the bark, the bundle of fascicles, or sorry, not the bundle of needles, excuse me, and kind of like how it looks. What do the cones look like? How does it look like in comparison to everything else? They're also probably planted a little bit too deep. So.
Yeah, then here we have some like kind of choppy lawn-mowered area.
All up in here, this used to be very tall invasive grasses. Okay, so let's take a look at this tree. Do you guys know what this tree is?
It's a juniper,
How do you know it's a juniper?
mostly by the berries and the shape of the leaves. The color, growth pattern. Boom. Come on.
For me, a big one that, if I'm like, ooh, is that arborvitae?
Oh yeah.
Arborvitae is the smell. I think juniper has a much sweeter smell. Doesn't have that cat pee quality to it. But this is probably like Pinus monosperma, and one way we can tell that, or not Pinus, sorry, juniperus. Watch me get all these names wrong. Embarrassing.
Yeah, it's sweet smelling.
Yeah, it's a nice sweet smelling tree. So we can also go through, I'm going to just flip so you guys can see the inside, because one way that we can tell apart different juniper species is by looking at their berries, which are modified cones. So what I'm going to do, and I like a multi-tool for this to open stuff. Okay, let's see how many seeds we have in here. To me, I see 1. Yeah, I only see 1 seed. You have to put like right in half.
Is that why it's called one seed juniper?
Exactly.
Oh.
So you can tell it's 1 seed juniper. It's always why I recommend having like a pocket knife, maybe some tweezers on you. If you want to like get some like specific, it's really sticky. Specific IDs, just because it makes it a little bit easier, and you're not like bashing stuff against a rock and then splitting everything open, and you can't tell the structures. Like I really like a multi-tool for that. I also have like a soil knife. I didn't bring it today, but that can be helpful if you have to look at like roots or something. Take them up. Another plant that we see frequently. I'm actually gonna get a sample of this. This is not a tree, but I do like pointing this out to folks. Y'all might have seen this plant around before.
Yeah. probably call it plantain or
It's like broadleaf plantain,
yeah.
Plantago major. It's a super medicinal plant, and the closer to water you get in the desert especially, the more medicinal the plants become because it takes a lot of resources to make those compounds. So when you're in a place with lots of water, water is life. We're always respectful of that, right? And we've also got mullein up in here. Oh, and maybe we've got some...
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got mullein up in here
Mullein
too.
there.
That's another invasive species, also super medicinal, but it really loves having babies, and it shades out everything else. So just don't worry about over-harvesting it when you do see it. Just yank it out. So we've got all of this, and we've got some irises and stuff here too, but that's mostly what we're doing. And I'm actually gonna get a little piece of this. Hello, friends. Okay, maybe not. It doesn't want to be plucked. Ooh. I've been through enough this week.
Here's a smaller one.
Yeah, that was a little better. That was a little bit. When we see something like, oh, that looks invasive, it kind of gives an invasive quality.
But look at the native bee.
Exactly.
It's definitely gathering resources from it.
Exactly. So making assumptions about, like, you know, based on what it looks like, because it's maybe got some aggressive, like, it likes people, it's growing along a very busy path, it's got these, like, structures on it that allow it to get, you know, caught on people's clothes. And because it's growing in those places, people think it's invasive, but it's not. It's like a really critical plant in the middle of the center. Do y'all want to go down?
Sure.
I don't know if it's like a leash.
Yeah, it's okay. He'll stick around.
This tree is like, no, I don't want to share. I'm sorry, buddy. It's a cottonwood, right? And there's all sorts of different ways you can tell it's a cottonwood and many different possibilities. A big one that we can look at is like the glands. If it's, you know, if it's got like one cap, you know, one leaf cap, if it's got a couple. But particularly what I like showing folks is that these bud scales are super sticky. It's actually how you make balm of Gilead for medicine. You can just make like, you just get a bunch of it together. But you want to get it from like not new plants. You want to get it from like from windfall. So.
That's this part?
Yep. It's better like at the beginning, kind of like late spring, early summer, when there's like a lot of wind and like they're still budding out, so you get like more bang for your buck. You're also not like actively harming these native, not harming, but like utilizing these native species or putting stress on them.
What is the medicine?
Balm of Gilead is what I've been told.
Balm of Gilead. What is that for?
It's just kind of like a basic salve. You can kind of use it like pinion salve. Kind of for sores, wounds, openings. Oh man, he's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's like, are you gonna come play with me?
Yeah, he's waiting. I usually have a stick so that he can chase.
Yeah. We can farther down too. The bank comes pretty far, so that one's actually pretty wet. Hey, sweetie. So, I want to bring some of these,
Are you gonna test your waterproof?
I can go barefoot.
What is it?
I can go barefoot.
Yeah.
be a little careful, there is some broken glass.
Yeah. Let's see.
But they've been cleaning it up, so
And, there you go. Now you found your steak, Booney. He's such a show off.
he is. Come on. Look how there's two glass right there.
Yeah, just careful,
Yeah.
Kimberly.
Yeah, I see some dust.
We've got time. Got nothing but time. Oh, here's Cowboy. There you go. So, if you look on the tips here, hi. So if you look on the tips here, if we had, like kind of like slightly toothed, right? Well, if you've got like a loop or something bigger, you can see that they're glandular tipped. So that's kind of fun. So you can see. There's like a big,
Glandular tip, so there's glands at the
on the
on the
leaf.
hairs right
Yep.
there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can probably like take off a tip if you want to.
There's glass here. That and that.
Okay. Yeah.
The water's nice and cool.
It really is. I know I needed this. There's some glass over here too.
Yeah, there's glass here.
So, something to consider as we're walking down the river. Why especially would we care about management, like management of trees in an urban forest along rivers?
It's a major infrastructure to have a river.
Mm-hmm.
People have to live around the river in ways that is what is it? Mutually beneficial way.
Yeah, for sure. That's also, the river is a huge distributor of invasive species too. So if you look behind you, do you notice any invasive species? There's one in particular I'm looking at.
The tree of heaven?
Yeah, the tree of heaven. Yeah. So it's like a huge issue, right? Because it's got these qualities. He's so fast. He's having a great time.
Yeah.
He loves it down here.
Oh.
Where? Oh, there's the tree of heaven.
Yeah, tree of heaven,
Yeah,
all throughout here.
mixed with the Siberian
Yep,
elm.
a lot of Siberian elm over here too.
Yeah, and it's growing inside of these gabion walls.
Mm-hmm. It makes it difficult to manage in this way as well, right? Because now you've got to like somehow dig into the gabion and like kill them.
Yeah,
And you know, it's probably a situation where we might have to use some kind of herbicide to
Yeah.
take it out completely.
even this close to the river.
Probably not in that case, you know. You could paint it on. I'm not sure like what the
Oh.
requirements are in like New Mexico or Santa Fe. Like in Utah, they'd just be like, just use like a paintbrush and paint it on
Yeah.
for like glyphosate. I don't know.
Very localized.
very localized application. Just because like the harm is greater. But in Santa Fe, I don't think they're probably going to allow that. So it's just different management techniques, especially along a watershed like this where it's like everybody uses this watershed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like this is an issue. And it'll get mitigated. Oh, look at him go! He's bringing back a stick. Hi, buddy. He loves being the center of attention.
Oh, yeah.
You're a little damn. Like a little duck. Poor Boone.
Good boy.
Also, even with native species like willow, there's still a lot here, right? Can you crowd out other native species? Man, he's gonna be so tired. Or does he not ever get tired?
He never gets tired. He'll get tired, but at home.
This looks like a different tree. Potentially, or
This
maybe
is
not.
interesting. What are these?
These are probably insect galls.
Oh,
So some kind of bug on there. I don't know what
interesting.
kind. But what happens is that the bug, the drill, eat some of like the plant, and then as a defense mechanism, the plant like makes it hard to get around it, so it's isolated.
Oh, that plant isolates it?
Mm-hmm.
So is that the plant isolating the bug?
Likely, yeah.
Wow.
You did so good. Yeah, you're so quick.
Stick's getting away.
Better get it. Big willow energy up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does make a difference.
That's a big tree of heaven.
It is. Do you know a good indicator for tree of heaven besides, compound leaves, all of that? Have you ever crushed it and smelled it?
Oh, yeah.
I know it has a specific
Sumac
smell.
in general is very fragrant.
It is. So to me, some people say it smells like rotten peanut butter. Other people say it smells like stale Cheerios.
Uh-huh.
Some people say it smells like dog poop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a sweet, earthy.
Yeah, sweet and earthy. Maybe, I wouldn't quite say like tamarind, because I think tamarind smells better, but
Uh-huh.
it's kind of got that quality to it.
Is that a related plant?
I think tamarind's in its own.
That's a big tree.
It
That's
is.
a big hardwood tree.
There's no place we can get out to. So, but yeah. I think that kind of gives us like a good overview of some of the trees that we've seen, kind of, river environments like this and urban spaces. Actually, this is interesting. Who is this?
Very waxy leaf.
Is it opposite or alternate?
Opposite leaf.
And is it a compound or simple leaf?
Compound?
Yeah. So, do you have an idea of maybe
Oh,
who this is?
an ash.
It is an ash.
Yeah. Compound meaning this is the leaf stem, and off of it are many leaves.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, so we've got a native ash right here, which is huge.
Beautiful.
So, we've gone through this whole river area and we've been looking at some of the native plants and the invasive plants. And what we're really not seeing anymore is ashes, right? So there's a handful of like little baby ashes around here in a few different places. But this is the largest one I found along this river so far.
It's about 1.5 inch caliper, about 15 feet tall. And it's marked with a blue piece of tape up there.
Yep, and that's one of the ways we show that we're going to save it. We're
Nice.
like, do not remove it. So, like the yellow I think means prune, and then orange is remove.
Okay.
So, that's at least how we mark it for our trees. For removals. So, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
Thank
we can,
you.
I don't know if you guys want to walk back up the stream to get out. It might be the easiest way, unless you guys want to scramble on the rocks.
Boone chooses up the stream.
That's a little bit.
More water.